That's it. I'm getting me mallet. And by mallet, I mean mean words to talk about ticket prices. I had a whole stream dedicated to just ranting about ticket prices the other day, like some kind of crazy guy who yells at clouds. But it is outrageous how expensive it is to go to concerts now, for at least for like larger bands and performances. I know this is nothing new, it's not Brave, I'm not going to be blowing the lid off of this operation or enlightening anyone here with a third eye awakening. I'm just here to add to the endless pile of tomatoes that people rightfully toss at Ticketmaster and just these crazy absurd prices that are becoming more and more normalized and more expensive. So I had a whole stream dedicated to this. Well, it wasn't the whole stream, but like an hour and a half of a stream dedicated to this topic. And yesterday, I bought some concert tickets for a band that I really want to see. And do you know how much those tickets were? Only fueling the fire in my soul about this. 250 bones a pop. For decent seats. Not great seats. I'm not backstage getting a hand job from the band or anything. I don't have VIP access to watch them goatsy at me. I'm not on the floor. I'm not front row. I'm not in the fucking pit. I am on just below the second story. So that means if there is an average height dude standing in front of me at 5'10", I'm not going to be able to see the stage. I'll have to peek over his shoulder like a curious little gopher. Like I'll have to stand on top of a seat just to look at the stage. And I paid $250 for those seats. Am I stupid? Yeah. But am I wrong for thinking that that's really expensive for seats that are only mediocre? Mediocre? I don't think so. I think things are just way too expensive when it comes to this industry. It's a goddamn scam and we're all being schmeckeldorfed by it. They are raw dogging our piggy banks knowing full well that the tickets are still going to sell. Like, I'm not here just to regurgitate everything everyone already knows about Ticketmaster, but all of those like fees and nonsensical baloney fish paste just to keep driving the price of tickets up is downright criminal. Like, that shit should be, whoever came up with that needs to be thrown in the slammer, just institutionalized. It's fucking silly. Before I dive too deep, let me just go ahead and bring you up to speed on why I even started ranting about ticket prices even before purchasing these new ones. It was the My Chemical Romance tour or whatever that's going on, where they had a lot of shady dealings going on with those prices. So I'm going to play some clips from that stream, and maybe some of you will learn a thing or two here that it's actually not just Ticketmaster that's responsible for this. Bands themselves are actually oftentimes the ones behind these crazy prices, where they have something that's dynamic, where if there's more demand for the show, the price of the tickets go up. It's very exploitative, and it's very anti-consumer and spitting in the face of fans. And Ticketmaster, one of the big things they offer is being the fall guy. They know they are hated. They know that their shit stinks and no one likes it. So they actually act as a shield for the performers, where any flack that would be directed at the band for the ticket prices instead falls on Ticketmaster's shoulders, and they take it with an iron fucking chin and a puffed out chest. It is literally that meme of the soldier blocking bullets with the child sleeping. That is something Ticketmaster willingly does for the performers, even when the performers are oftentimes the ones that elect to do things like dynamic pricing. But then there will spawn an even more egregious case of greed that the band has no control over. Resellers. Ticket scalpers. So, in the case of like My Chemical Romance, for example, while the ticket prices were fucking bananas, absolutely bonkers, what ended up happening is, even with the dynamic pricing model, resellers swooped in like a plague of locusts and snatched up all of the tickets that they could get their grubby little mitts on. So even though the prices were very expensive, scalpers came through and bought as many as they could to turn around and resell them for like 5x the price, which is why you saw some crazy numbers for tickets there, such as things like $1,000 for like bad seats and up to $7,000 for good seats, because of the people that are reselling it. Scalpers are like one of the most unifying creatures on this planet. Everyone hates them. It doesn't matter your beliefs or where you're from. Everyone is unified in their disgust for scalpers. What you just said about Ticketmaster being the fall guy is 1,000% the biggest thing people don't understand. Ticketmaster's biggest service is being the punching bag for artists charging the insane prices. And that's what I just was learning about right before stream, which is why I wanted to talk about like the whole wild world of ticket prices. Because everyone knows Ticketmaster sucks. Everybody knows that, right? Who doesn't hate scalpers? Like everybody knows that. What I didn't know, here, we'll just go ahead and start getting into it. What I didn't know, in a case like this, where My Chemical Romance tickets are like $700 for like not great tickets, like at a not great area, like it's not Ticketmaster. So My Chemical Romance is doing like fluctuating demand pricing. So the bigger demand, the bigger the price. That's their decision. That's entirely My Chemical Romance's decision. So this article talked about it a little bit down here, where according to the screenshot of the Ticketmaster website, tickets were priced anywhere from $63 to $695. The ticket prices soared later on in the sale, prompting speculation among fans that the band had opted into dynamic pricing. The controversial practice inflates ticket prices based on demand, and it's now understood that it can be turned on or off by artists. So while Ticketmaster rightfully is like a spittoon that everyone takes turns hawking loogies in, it is a lot of the times, it seems, the band's decision for outrageous prices. Like, dynamic pricing is something My Chemical Romance decided on, or at least whoever manages them. I mean, I still listen to a couple of their songs, like Helena, Ghost to You is their best one. But I mean, I would never pay prices like this. Holy. My pit ticket for My Chemical Romance was nowhere near this much. This is an hour after I bought it. Fuck resellers. $7,000 is a whole car. Section F, row 2, $6,700 for a My Chemical Romance ticket. So with the My Chemical Romance example, this is the one that really prompted me to talk about this whole thing and try and learn more about the inner workings of this enigmatic machine of greed that is concerts and Live Nation and Ticketmaster and all that. So you can see the tickets started at $63. It started at that price, but as more and more people were trying to get them, the price started to go up and up and up until eventually it was all resellers, it seems. So resellers then started to relist the tickets for thousands of dollars. Now, I recognize that the decision to opt into dynamic pricing model didn't really affect scalpers here, because they were going to engage in this fish paste no matter what, but it did affect fans, because if you got there early enough, you got a reasonable price, but if you got there even like an hour later, good heavens, I hope you've got some items to sell if you want to try and make it to that concert to afford it. It's pretty crazy. And then, of course, resellers made it even more absurd, just unhinged. Now, there is a lot of examples of this being kind of a hot button issue that I was pretty unaware of. Oasis found themselves in the septic tank earlier this year for dynamic pricing. I didn't even know Oasis was back with a comeback tour, but they did dynamic pricing and a lot of people criticized them for it. And Taylor Swift actually refused to use dynamic pricing for her tour. So it is an option the artist has if they want to do dynamic pricing or not. Now, I do think there are going to be cases where the artist won't have a say. Their management team or whoever is going to force them to do it, like maybe it's in their contract for the tour or something. I definitely think that's super possible, especially considering that Live Nation and Ticketmaster are one. They are joined. The Ticketmaster owns Live Nation, which I still cannot believe was allowed to go through. But, you know, hey, I'm not Big Brother here, I guess, but to me that seems like a bit of a conflict. That seems like a little bit of monopolization, but hey, that's just some goofball, idiot, small brain, smooth brain guy saying that, I guess. But again, I do think given that relationship there is definitely some things in contracts that will probably prevent artists from electing not to use dynamic pricing because you stand to make significantly more money. And by making more money for the artist, you're making more money for Ticketmaster and Live Nation. So it feeds everyone. And I'm guessing someone with star power of Taylor Swift's size can basically do whatever the fuck she wants. If she says she's not doing dynamic pricing, then dynamic pricing is vetoed. It is banished to the shadow realm. There is not a force of nature on Earth that could change that at that point because she just has that much leverage in the industry, and I don't think there's a ton of other artists that will have that kind of power, that luxury to be able to say no if it's forced upon them by the label for their tour. So I recognize that maybe it's not always the band's decision, but in the case of My Chemical Romance, I think this was their choice, and I think in the case of some other artists, and notably Robert Smith from The Cure, talked about this recently, saying that the dynamic pricing is a scam driven by greed, saying that artists know, they all know, and if they say they don't, they're either stupid or lying. It's just driven by greed. So this is one of those things I was mentioning earlier where there are artists that absolutely just say, we're going to do dynamic pricing, knowing full well that Ticketmaster is going to be the one that takes the heat, not them. So they get to have their cake and fuck it too. And that's just not good because dynamic pricing is bad for the fans. Of course, scalpers are also a sinful affront to God, but that's an issue probably dove into at a later date. All I can say for certainty is that ticket prices right now are nuts. Like, actually nuts. So yeah, I just wanted to rant about this a little bit. Big fuck you to Ticketmaster and scalpers, I guess. That's really about it. See ya.